Then great. So welcome aboard. Sorry for the little inconveniences. We are doing some real time testing right now. With some of the testing that we have done, we've been able to get the audio working. So right now we are pushing from Zim to the streaming through Omnicast. This was one of our experimentation. We wanted to stream to Facebook, to YouTube, to LinkedIn, to various social medias, and create an Omnicast presence. So in today's presentation, I will be talking about the briefing, and what we try to do is combine a few things together, give some views of what we are doing and how we are doing it, and then at the same time share some of that view with you guys. So without that, we put some presentations together about some of our pictures, images that we have done in the past from the events that we have participated, from the activities we've done, with the projects that we have participated, and take a listen on this audio and to see if that helps out to understand. So we are going to
Hello and welcome. I'm the audio host of NETSTAIRS. Here is your host Ahmad Moradi, and with him we have Matteo Tomega as our EUPM and Mr. Vijay, CEO of Viva Corp from KL Malaysia, presenting you with a 30-minute broadcast. We are NETSTAIRS.com. In the next 30 minutes, our intent is to present you with our live briefing and share with our followers the next outline. In the next 30 minutes, we will present 3 overall VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Each is designed to serve the interactive needs of your broadcast, collaboration, and communications requirements. Set as a private cloud, these services are rented, leased, or owned. When these platforms are integrated, they deliver seamless interactive video experience. So welcome to our show.
So this was a little voiceover over the presentation. So with that in mind, I will talk about Let's Cast. So we'll go to Let's Cast here, and the one that you are actually watching, some of you in the platforms. Months ago, one of the areas that we wanted to talk about was about the presentation on the Let's Cast platform, that it was important to us and to our clienteles. And the general idea was that in analogy of what we wanted to do is we wanted to build a player that could play different video codecs, different CDN supports, play with low latency, ultra low latency, standard formats, transitional stages that we are going right now into, from RTMPs to HLS to Dash to CMFA and so forth. And we wanted to have this kind of a programmable capability where our partners, our clients, our middleware service providers to allow to deliver live video on demand, scheduled events, and other activities. So with that in mind, we decided to develop Let's Cast. And the general idea of the Let's Cast was that the top 6 events that normally are populated, it appears in here based on the user's experience. So as people are signing up and so forth through the events, and they're looking at live events in here for different activities, then they can choose and attend to different events. And this was part of the project. And at the same time, we wanted to be able to do this kind of streaming that we are showing you within the streaming in the rooms. So the idea was that we would set up what we call networks. And these networks are defined based on different users' preference or the publisher's preferences. For instance, business, fashion, food, just picking up different subject topics, courses, movies, gaming, sports, and so forth, being able to stream those kind of activities right from here. And then at the same time, we wanted to be able to all of a sudden click here, and from a network that you build, inside the network, you can have numbers of channels. Some of these channels are supplied with the permission of the providers that we are working with. For example, when you look at Bloomberg TV, Bloomberg TV is coming through Akamai CDN, is being streamed in here by the Bloomberg with their permission. and we stream that in here, so therefore you can see. And obviously if I activate the audio, but I'm not doing that, so this way we don't get multiple audios. They have the visual. So for the first time, a publisher or broadcaster can automatically create a channel, activate chat, and be able to share that social media with different colleagues through different channels, share the link information, or simply put it on the theater mode or hide it out if you want to, the chat site and so forth. So every one of these functions that you say hide chat and you wanted to watch the whole video becomes available. And then subsequently, if you decide that you wanted to leave, then you simply move on to other networks. One of the areas that it has worked for a lot of our partners in their influential services or serving influencers, for example, like Home Shopping Network, where you can all of a sudden engage and interact and provide product and services. And at the same time in here, you can ask questions by being able to reach out, and then this becomes a community, a collaboration, a communication, and then these services ultimately can be watched as solo by just sharing a link or by being able to provide other areas. So as you see different areas that it moves by scrolling down, also the top 12 networks that they are being viewed, constantly being changed and updated. So this way the users that they arrive based on the publishers, they can see this. Example of this that we are doing right now is working with several Chamber of Commerce, where they want to become the producers, or TV networks, or production houses, or distance educations. Every one of these areas becomes part of this process. So therefore, when we want to go to technology and talk about CGM TV or TEDx or Neuralink or some FBI securities or any of these alerts, it can be simply done. The way that it gets done is really relatively simple. The way we've done it is moving forward by editing a room and being able to accommodate different settings. So if you go to a channel, in this channel, you'll be able to select a variety of options. For example, you can choose a stream, you can do multi-stream, you can set up a meeting, including our Zoom meeting or Zoom meetings or any other, and we are having provisions for other features. You have a full description where you can use HTML5 editors in here and be able to create a splash page for the event descriptions. In here, as you can see, the link is coming from M3U8, and it's been delivered by choosing different players. Originally, the default value is the player, Let's Cast, like you're watching right now, but certain certain services, they have their own players, so we can say custom player if they need to build it, or RTMP player as it's going through the transition. If you're planning to schedule an event, then you can set up a event date and then be able to change the variables in here by obviously picking up the date and so forth, for example, and then say it's going to be at the time, ending date if you want to have a session connected to different topic of interest based on those channels, and then choose either disable the chat or Twitter or Let's Cast chat, or a default that may be supplied by the third party that we can provide. So those kind of things all becomes part of this overall. By creating a logo and branding and being able to set up backgrounds for the pictures and enabling the users that they want to attend, like we did for one of our channel partners on September in Madrid, that authentication user required, or it's just open to the public like what we just did with you, share the link. If you wish to place a password in the streaming, you can do so, or with the email access, and then you can connect that to your social media site. So that becomes basically the basis of setting up the accounts in here. So with that kind of a motion and moving forward, then Let's Cast becomes a gateway where you can host from a variety of CDNs and a variety of providers content that you can enable in here, of course, with rights management and with your own broadcasting privilege. For example, you can put Facebook streaming here, you can put YouTube, Vimeo, Akamai, one of our CDN partners, and several other CDN service providers that we have worked throughout the years. We have embedded all of these services right in here. So this is one of the areas that we wanted to share with you and give you some idea. And then take a listen on what we want to talk about.
Hello and welcome.
Oops. What we are going to do is play a little audio.
Introduction. 2020 has brought the arrival of COVID-19. Needless to say, humanity's interaction has been impacted profoundly. Main Street and SMB markets around the globe have taken a beating dealing with all-time low-income streams. Think of retail industry. Malls depend on traffic facing loss of serious cash flow and rent income. Brick-and-mortar banks, branches, offices, municipalities, conventions, events, hospitality, sports, and travel industry amongst many others have been hit hard facing closure. So, in turn, humanity has turned to utilization of technologies and in particular the use of video conference.
For more than 20 plus years, NETSTAIRS is proud to be one of those companies taking a small place amongst the industry giants who have promoted video-first strategies. As we present these virtual cloud platforms, keep in mind, since 2006, we pioneered remote work. By 2012, we closed our 10,000 square feet office operation and migrated the entire NETSTAIRS into virtual work and use of cloud. Additionally, we coined the settings known as Room for the user experience and a visual page display. Today, Pixel by NETSTAIRS and interactive digital media rooms come with a lot more features than just currently available web conferencing services.
So, with that in mind, one of the things that we are going to do is show you our interactive content delivery network. This connects to many CDNs. Our strategic relationship again with Akamai has given us the blessing to embed a variety of CDN services into these rooms. So one of the things we are going to do is show you some room campaigns and so forth to see how those works. Example of what we just talked about is, let's say, for example, an Akamai CDN where we have set up a digital media room, and then obviously a webcam comes active, and it gives us the ability to present, and sometimes because of the camera that I'm using, obviously it's taken out from another service, so it may encumber me by not allowing me to get in here. But generally speaking, what we are trying to do is set up the cast TVs and so forth. So multi-streaming, multi-cast network, and multi-stream coming from different locations simultaneously, and even connecting these rooms to Zoom and also peer casting it. So one of the areas that we always try to strive for is understanding the client's needs and requirements for their events. And then subsequently, we create programs and features, what we call DMC DMRs. A DMC DMR is designed that essentially a room becomes a channel. In this case, any of these rooms, for example. And on a campaign, I can simply select a room that I want to choose. So if I decide that I want to choose a room, my room libraries appears in here. I can pick up the room that I want to activate. And then upon that, once I create that room based on my setting, the requirements and everything else, then we populate the event based on what we call activation code keys. These activation code keys are given out to registered users based on selling tickets or free events and so forth. And when a user decides that they want to go and activate the room, they receive this through your e-commerce, through your email notification, through various ways. And as they use that activation code by clicking on activate button, then simply they create a room and they put that activation button in here. The reason for that is that room now gets connected to the event that we are talking about from that campaign. So if there was a room associated with, let's say, 1355 for a peer cast, and the peer cast wanted to accommodate all of those people with those ACK codes, would automatically connect to 1355 and accommodate the ability for the publisher to make changes, to change streams, to change anything, and all other rooms taking place. We found a valuable commodity in here because sometimes when we go into events and shows, then you find it useful where you can create affinity marketing. Example is, let's say, a franchise store where they have pizza places or coffee shops, and then every store can become practically a venue as a DMC, and then the buyers with the KPI, as we have done in the past, you create an incentive, buy a cup of coffee or get a pizza, and you receive a digital media room. And once they receive that digital media room and sign up, then they can use it for their own personal purposes without any kind of edit or changes in the background. So subsequently, the users have the ability to engage, interact, whether being on location or off location. And another value that we found that is very useful is where we are embedding these rooms inside websites for retail stores. A lot of retailers, as they have been hurt, they are depending on the traffic, but the traffic obviously is not arriving on time because of the COVID-19. Taking that into a consideration, now they can virtually click, and with that share a link. They can arrive in the store, place their orders, and make arrangement either for pickup or delivery depending on the arrangement. So this becomes part of the process that we are going through with ICDN. So ICDN in that kind of a setting will have campaign and has rooms. You can have many rooms, so you are not limited to that kind of settings. And these rooms can be accommodated in different kind of configurations and needs. Example, again, if I want to go into a multi-stream, but my problem is right now.
For 20 plus years, NETSTAIRS has been providing video-first digital economy online services and strategies. Would you be interested to learn more?
Because my camera is already taken by this device, unfortunately, I cannot really take you to a visual, and we'll do that later, because what we plan to do is create a 6-minute increment and then share those increments as episodes in here. So therefore we can provide capability for the users to get a visual observation of everything that is going on. So in short, ZimZim is one of the platforms in 2020 that we are going to be introducing. This platform, as you can see in here, has a link called ZimZim Info, which gives you basically the general information about the product and the service that we are using, and what we can do with it, along with the mobile apps. And then the ZimZim video itself is designed that provides you with the room like we have it in here. And this room accommodates the ability to bring group sessions together. And in the next release, we will connect this to Zoom, and we will connect that to a streaming output. So when you have a group session like we are having in here, you no longer need to depend on OBS or third party. It can accommodate different services accordingly. So we now put a little bit of other content together in here for you to show you some of the pictures from our pasts that we have done different broadcasting, different events, so that can give you some visual and general idea of how things can work in real world by definitions of integration even to Mozilla with our rooms, our cast and crew that they arrive, classes, sessions, places where we can sell goods and services, and all of these capabilities are part of this process. So with that, again, I will share another topic with you.
As market's insatiable thirst drives the use of video, produced either from meetings or streaming sessions, we all spend a great part of our digital lives with video. From messaging, video calls, media rooms, and web conferencing, to recognizing the COVID-19 situation as regrettably is here for some indefinite time to stay. Hence, it is the new normal.
At NETSTAIRS, we have increased corporate EBITDA by moving businesses into real-time speed. With the support of value chain partners, we can deliver CDN-based ultra-low latency services. So, companies who understand the very basic principle of how important their communications as digital assets mean to their longevity, then they need to become aware of how NETSTAIRS VPC, IBPS could help bluster real-time results. At NETSTAIRS, we have increased corporate EBITDA by moving businesses into real-time speed. With the support of value chain partners, we can deliver CDN-based ultra-low latency services. So, companies who understand the very basic principle of how important their communications as digital assets mean to their longevity, then they need to become aware of how NETSTAIRS VPC, IBPS could help increase real-time results.
It should also come as no surprise that NETSTAIRS platforms become the most valued digital asset serving corporate intra or internet operations while adding to the balance sheet. Virtual private clouds PTLA ownership could improve ROI and help realize how companies could thrive through embracing change with the new streams of monetizations connecting buyers and brands.
Examples: look, the market value of Zoom's and its platform, or WebEx $2.1 billion paid by Cisco, or Citrix $1.8 billion sale to LogMeIn. VPC could make your company's digital asset valuation set at a much higher valuation than just renting a space from a third-party service provider. Example: consider $1 billion Disney streaming investment, or the stock market value of leading CDNs such as Akamai or other comparable.
So we will download some of this and make it available based on request of our clients that you can see in here. Example is what we do for the state of Florida. In this case, we are using Let's Cast and ZimZim and CDN. This is in partnership with Universal Studios, with Orange TV, with the Florida authorities in Florida, art and engagement of Interactive Academy of Performing Arts, and many other that they have virtual studio. As you can see, the musicians or the instructor are sitting in here. ZimZim video is in here for the guests. And then subsequently, through special effects and Avid system, they can change that right in there from the streaming and be able to accommodate. So ZimZim room that you were just experiencing in here appears in this presentation. Text chat, as you just saw, it appears here. And then the CDN is doing the streaming of the participants. So this is part of what we call many-to-many videos, where we are allowing people to build their own channel, their own network, their own content, and serving their own audience. And along with that, building this network that it allows you to create different contents based on point of interest of your followers, if you are publishers and so forth. And we also have built protocols and saving opportunities that we can always share that with you. But generally speaking, the main goal and idea was to give you a view of how ICDN works and also how the room settings work. For instance, again, we go into an MCAST channel just for the purpose of visual demonstration. There are different categories of general, accessibility, customization. And when we release products, then we have our beta users that they have signed up that they can do early testing. For example, we are working on a new codec in SRTC 2.0, and if we want to enable that, we can do that. Or customization, where the room headers, the room background, the sidebars, and advanced features are available. Or we can basically create anonymous user or authenticated user. We can allow moderator required or no moderator required. We can make the moderator invisible, so if they're doing recording. And if they are putting a passcode in the room, they can do so. And then allow the users with the webcam to come in, or without the webcam. Audio only if you're just having an audio call. Safe mode is good for troubleshooting, just generally give you a heads up. And in here, we can create what we call call to actions. So if we need to set up an appointment, we can just create a label and then put the appointment schedule in here. If we want to connect it to other sites like website, okay, so we can say HTTPS and then NETSTAIRS.com and proceed accordingly. With the background, there are several ways of accomplishing that. You can simply place images, you can place YouTube content with copying and pasting it, or you can put iframe where you can embed all kinds of functionalities, including websites. And you can also put a PDF file for the presentations and so forth, so the audience can download, they can print, they can watch, and so forth in the presentations. And then as we are moving toward different pages, the room has two sidebars. On the right sidebar, you have the ability to display the audience or display timer, set up your Twitter account, your Facebook, your Instagram, your desktop sharing, and your whiteboard. And on the left hand side, you can create a embedding code. So these are, for example, videos that you can copy and paste with rights permission. So if you have video catalogs spread all over and you want to put them together for training, educations, and so forth, these are ideal where you can build. And if you're an HTML5 developer, then you can easily write codes right in here and embed that inside the rooms. And on the advanced mode, we have the ability to use intelligent algorithms. So people, when they're idle, it doesn't consume bandwidth. We can display their flag from their country of their origin. We can put a little welcome sound bite. And we can have the timer and the weather to appear and so forth. And that becomes part of the setting that you ultimately end up having for those rooms. And every room has its own configurations and settings. So that gives you the capability of providing a variety of service through this interactive. And then you can set this up as open house, private, secure. And you also have the capability of moving people from one room to another room. A lot of times, you want to have a private sessions and you have an open house. So with that open house, you bring people in, educate them, but now they want to talk to the reps, so you can redirect them into that kind of a setting. With that in mind, I think we have given you a briefing, but what I'm going to do over the next few weeks and months is to create 6 minutes video clip based on different subject, and we're going to dig deeper and dive into more of infrastructure, into platform itself, and into the SaaS services. We built this entire module based on embeddable because one of the things we didn't want a lot of API, a lot of integrations to coming out from non-programmers. So therefore, this became much easier for them as long as they know the content has to be HTTPS and it has to be with the rights permission that they have to allow embed, then the content can be embedded. And we have played and embedded over 105 different players behind this scene that you can see inside the room. So with that in mind, I want to thank you for attending. Sorry for the early part of the problems that we had with technical difficulties, but we hope you enjoyed this show, and we'll carry on with the tradition of what we did originally back in 2016 to 2018. Prior to COVID, we were sessioning a weekly agenda that we'll share that link with you. You can find that on our NETSTAIRS website. On NETSTAIRS website, if you visit and click here, and then you will find there is an option called More. And if you click on the More option in here, then you will find ICE Video. And ICE Video is got a catalog of a lot of weekly events that we had basically promoted and enabled people to go and visit and see what is going on. So You can pick up different topics from fintech to promotion to Cornell University to KPN with the WebRTC gateways and many other things, inclusion of gamings. So we have pioneered this kind of services, and we had lectured throughout the past, and you're more than welcome to access to it and view those content. So with that in mind, again, we want to thank you because these are the content that is available on site, as you can see from YouTube channel. So they are located on NETSTAIRS, as I mentioned to you, site, and they are under the category called More. And then if you click on ICE video, then it directly takes you to this catalog that you can see a variety of embeddable games, embeddable presentations, broadcasting, and so forth. So with that in mind, we want to thank you again for attending our seminar, and we are going to conclude this because of the lack of time. We will take your questions and answers later in another session, call it post-stage, and we provide those kind of activities, but this initial introductory was really jump-starting our 2020 model, talking about the ZimZim overview, about Let's Cast overview, and ICBM. And I wish you all a safe and well situation wherever you are. And we all are victims, but we are doing the best we can through the use of technologies to connect all of us together. And thank you for being part of our presentation. Be well and safe. Ciao.